Hello, I am back for more math. Today we are going to be starting lesson 6.2, which is area non-standard units. This is actually going to be probably way easier than 6.1 for some of you. So as usual, I will be doing your solve and share, your look back, your visual learning, your convince me, and then we'll see what I can do with you on your guided practice. So go ahead and turn to your big green math book. You should be on page 213. And today your solve and share is...
Find the area of the postcard on each grid. What do you notice about the size of the postcard on each grid? What do you notice about the area of the postcard on each grid? Explain.
Okay, so they want us to find the square units of these two postcards. So if you notice anything about these squares, I'm sure you can already tell. One's smaller than the other and one's bigger. So these ones are smaller, these ones are bigger. So to find the square units, again, you just need to count. So let's do the small one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, we have one, we know there's 4 in one line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to do 6 times 4. That's going to give us 24 square units. And then, same thing for this one. I know there's 2, there's 3 going across, so this would give us 6. So what do you notice about the size of the postcards? The measurements are different because one's bigger than the other. Measurements are different because one is bigger than the other. And the units, so how big the squares are, the units are different sizes. Okay, so we know that this one is a little bit bigger than these squares. And that's it for your solve and share. Going to your look back, do your look back on this page too. Okay, your look back says, are the measurements of the areas of the postcard shown above the same? And explain. So are the areas the same? Well, this one was 24 and this one was 6. But even though, like, I mean, technically they're the same, if you guys see what I mean. The same shape. Because look at this. If I make this, oh, these are ugly boxes, Miss Samson. If I make that square look like this square, they are the same, but because their square units were different, they are different square units, but technically they're the same. So for your look back, if I can move this, my goodness. Hello, look back. No. Oh, there we go. Nope, wrong one. Hello. Can I move this one? There we go. Okay, this is your look back. So are the measurements of the areas? No. The areas are the same, but the measurements are different because the square units for each postcard are different sizes. Okay, so that was your look back. So we are going to go ahead and move on to Fred. Whee!
How can you measure area using non-standard units? Tran has designed a bookmark for a paperback book. How can he use unit squares to find the area of his bookmark? What are you measuring when you measure the area of something? You are measuring the number of unit squares needed to cover a region with no gaps or overlaps. Remember, unit squares can be different sizes. Measure the area of trans bookmark using the smaller unit square. You can count the number of these unit squares to find the area of the bookmark. What is the area of trans bookmark using the smaller unit square?
Ooh, I'll give you a few minutes to
Select your answer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you just need to count how many small squares there are. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I kind of made this an array, and I did 4 times 8. That's going to give you 32. Yay!
There are 32 of these smaller unit squares covering trans bookmark. So the area of the bookmark is 32 square units. Why is the area written as 32 square units?
Because there are 32 boxes.
There are 32 unit squares. And because area is described using the words square units, the area of the bookmark is written as 32 square units. You can use a different, larger unit square to find the area of this same bookmark. What is the area of trans bookmark using this larger unit square?
Ooh, now we've moved on to the bigger square. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8. 2 times 4 will give me 8.
Now there are 8 unit squares covering the bookmark. So the area is 8 square units. Why is this area different from the area we found using the smaller unit square?
So what's the difference between these square units? That's what they're asking. Anything different? We know that one's bigger than the other.
This time we used a larger unit square to measure the area. So it takes fewer of these units to cover the area.
The size of the unit square determines the area.
Now you know how to measure area using non-standard units, including unit squares of different sizes. You are learning to analyze the relationship between the size of the unit square on each grid and the area of each bookmark.
Woohoo! Okay, we're going to just go ahead and move on to your Convince Me. And your Convince Me today is...
How are the areas of these two squares alike, and how are they different?
Okay, so they want us to find the area of both of these shapes, so they just want us to count the squares and figure out how many squares are in each shape. So let's do this big one first. I know that there are 4 squares going down and 4 going across. So if I make that like an array, I know this one is 16. And then this little square, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is also 4 going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, this is also going 4 across. So they are both 16, so that's what they have similar. Let me go ahead and get my typing. And you can go ahead and write this at the bottom of your page on your Convince Me. Each square, so we know that both squares have a square unit, always say square unit, have a square unit of 16. But their differences, what do you notice that's different about them? One square has bigger square units, whereas this one has smaller square units. But the square units are not the same size, and they are measuring a different amount of space. Oops, space. Yay! Okay, so that's it for your Convince Me. We are going to go ahead and move on to your guided practice. See, this is easy. You're just counting squares. Nice and easy. Okay, moving on to your guided practice, which is on 215. You have to do problems 1 through 10 today. It is two-sided. I'm actually not going to do very much with you because a lot of this stuff you guys have to do on your own because you will need to draw. So it's actually pretty easy. You just have to draw the square units. So like number 1, I think you guys can do on your own. Number 2, Draw unit squares to cover the figures and then find the area. Use this unit squares shown below. Okay, so this is the shape they gave you. They want you to put a unit square on top of that shape. So you need to draw a box that will cover this shape. So for example, you would draw a box here and draw a box here. So then you need to tell me what the area of that square was. So how many squares did you use to cover it? You should have drawn 1 and 2, so about 2 square units. Okay, and then moving on to this shape, this is going to be a little bit different because your shapes are going to be smaller. So you would draw like a box here, a box here, a box here, and a box here, and repeat the same thing on the top. So then the same thing that you did with this shape, you just need to tell me how many square units. You should get about 8 square units. I know your drawings aren't going to be perfect, just try as best as you can. And then same thing with 3 through 5. You just need to draw the amount of square units they tell you, but make it as perfect as you can to match the square units that they give you at the bottom. And once you draw those squares, you need to tell me what the area is of each shape. So like for number 4, when you're doing the big square units, you obviously can see that you can do a square here, 1, another square here, 2, and another square here, so 3. So you would write somewhere at the bottom 3 square units. Make sure you tell me what your area is. Okay? And that's pretty much it. The rest of the problems back here are a review. So I think you guys can do it. And that's it for today. Okay, I will talk to you later. Bye.